Hey traders, Marcello here, founder of the Day Trading Academy, co-founder of Speed Up Trader. Today we're going to be doing the recap of what happened in the markets last week. The Reddit wars continue. We had a situation this week where they tried to attack the silver, and if they did it the same way that they did GameStop, they could have probably just shut down the entire financial system. Luckily, that didn't happen. We had a little bit of a surge, came back down, affected the physical silver market quite a bit. But it ended up that everybody lost money. The hedge fund Melvin Capital lost 53% of their capital, billions of dollars. And then on top of that, one of the most famous Redditors, one of the leaders or the de facto leader, lost somewhere to the tune of I think it was actually $19 million. So everybody lost. Didn't work out for anybody. Monday overall, markets were higher. S&P 500 had its biggest daily gain since November 24th. Tuesday was higher as well, now that the fiscal stimulus is more likely. They did pass it throughout the week, $1.9 trillion, with Vice President Harris putting in the tiebreaker vote, since, 50 Republicans and then 50 Democrats kind of voted along party lines, yes and no. Russian vaccine has been proved to be 92% effective, which is now one of the better vaccines out there. And 86% of the 186 S&P 500 firms that have reported so far have topped estimates, so that's a good thing as well. Wednesday market was mixed. S&P 500 firms defied another expectations drop for the quarterly revenue, so a lot of them had great revenue. Thursday market was higher. S&P 500 and the Nasdaq hit record highs. And Friday as well, market were higher with the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq hitting record highs again. Other than that, the U.S. stocks for the week, mostly positive. We started to see a little bit of a correction, and then all of a sudden they talk about stimulus, and then again we go on the rocket. The Dow was up 3.88% for the week. The S&P 500 was up 4.64%, and the Nasdaq was up 6.01%. International markets in Europe, the biggest winner was Italy at a flat 7% gain. Latin American and Canadian markets, the biggest winner was the Socialist Republic of Argentina, 5.79%, while Canada was 4.58%. Then in the Middle East and Africa, we had relatively big winners and losers. South Africa was 2.9% positive, while Saudi Arabia was 2.19% negative. Far East, the Sensex in India, biggest winner of all, 9.60% for them. And in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency news, quite an important piece of news in that the government of India is now introducing a bill to make it illegal to be able to have private cryptos. For example, Bitcoin or Dogecoin, right? Since that one's the one that popped this week, or Ethereum, for example. Now, keep in mind that there's really only two coins that dominate the market between Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's about 80% of the market overall. But if this bill actually passes, which is most likely is to pass because the government controls the parties in the parliament, this could essentially be what I think could be a kind of a turning point, due to the fact that, I always told you guys that I don't not think, I was going to say, I'm thinking in Spanish. I always do the videos in Spanish to begin with. I have no doubt in my mind, is what I'm trying to say, that Bitcoin will reach record highs, right? I told you that before. But in terms of Bitcoin becoming the new financial system or the new currency that we're all going to use, that I don't think is going to be possible, because I don't think the people who control the world, the powers that be, are going to let go of a centralized system where they control us all, which is the financial system. Now, remember that Bitcoin and cryptos works in two tandems, right? You have the actual crypto itself, and then you have the technology, was the blockchain. I believe that we're going to see a lot more central banks launching government coin, or, the digital dollar. The Central Bank of Europe already registered digital euro as a trademark. And so that's what I think is going to happen. And who knows what will happen in Bitcoin. It'll probably still exist. It'll still be an asset. It'll go up. It'll go down. It'll make record highs. But if they do start banning it over the world, that might be a problem for investment. Other than that, the Bitcoin Doge spiked as well, 50%, since Elon Musk tweeted out to his 45 million followers on Twitter. Ethereum also hit a new high at 1,736.11. The year-to-date rally now for Ethereum is 128%, and Bitcoin this week went up 12.28% to about 38,747.60. Commodities, oil prices are at its highest level in near a year. It is down, or the revenue, I should say, for big companies like Royal Dutch Shell. They reported quarter flow cash flow operations with a drop of 39%. Just $882 million, but we're down. It's just under $1 billion, just under $1 billion. Other than that, they did have net income of $339 million in quarter four, but they're not making enough money. Other than that, prices closing in on $60 a barrel on Friday. For the week, U.S. oil went up 8.90% to $56.85, while international Brent went up 6.19% to $59.34. Silver surged quite a bit on Monday, right? We had the speculation of the Main Street versus Wall Street war. There was a lot of talk about how they were going to go after the silver market, and they did start going after it. If they were successful like they were with GameStop, they could have set off quite a bit of problems for the financial system as a whole, because a lot of banks, especially central banks, are involved with the silver and gold paper schemes. But it did surge. It came back down. There's huge premiums now for physical silver or even gold, for example, for those of you guys that are looking for it. Apparently, the peak of mining for silver was 2015. And remember, silver is very different. This is why, for example, for those of you guys that have been following me for a while, I've been trading silver and investing in silver now for 3 or 4 years, and I've been talking to you about it as well. I uploaded a video to the Day Trading Academy channel where I talked about the dynamic of silver right now and how it's going to explode to our traders in the seminar last year, in 2019. But the uptrend is still there. And since we have a peak in mining in 2015, the main difference between silver and gold is the fact that silver is used in applications, in mirrors, in solar, in your phones and computers and all kinds of things. And so if we have low supply, lowering, I should say, supply, the demand for it skyrocketing, not only because of the COVID, but also because of the economic situation, right? And then demand continuing to increase in the industrial level or the industry level as well. It's definitely due for a big run very soon. Other than that, let's see, silver 13% on Monday, hit a 5-month high. It did close above 30 for the first time since the Lehman bankruptcy in 2008. It closed above 30 since 2013. So it's just kind of making records over and over again. Global output of gold was 32 metric tons. 3,200 metric tons. The biggest miner of gold is China, biggest producer. The second is Australia, followed by third Russia, fourth the United States, and Canada in fifth. Precious metals for the week, gold was down 1.81% at 1,816, while silver was up 0.59% at 2,724. Other than that, in financial news, the Melvin Capital, as I mentioned to you before, lost 53% in January after the Redditors went after the most shorted stocks, with obviously they were short pretty big on GameStop. Deutsche Bank, Germany's largest lender and also largest bank in Germany. Remember, Germany's still the 4th largest economy in the world, largest and most important economy in Europe. They finally turned around a profit after quite a few years of a lot of problems. In 2019, they lost 5.7 billion euros. It's about $6.8 billion. While this last year, 2020, they made 113 million euros in profit, which is about 135.6 million US. It's a 32% difference. Remember also, Volkswagen, last week I told you guys they lost, I think it was something around $3-4 billion in the first part of 2020, and they turned that around and made billions of dollars in profit over the year 2020 as a whole. Myanmar military seized power in political news with claims of election fraud. There's a lot of widespread international condemnation of the military coup. California Democratic governor, one of the strictest governors with the quarantines in regards to the pandemic. A lot of people are crying politics, since now after the inauguration, even though cases and deaths are going up, he's starting to loosen restrictions. It might be for the fact that he's going to have quite a bit of a situation if the recall effort continues to grow. They only need something around 100,000 more signatures to put him on the ballot. In economic news, 779,000 Americans filed first-time unemployment claims last week in January. That's a sizable decrease from the week before, which is at 812,000. And also we have a situation where 4.6 million are still on continued claims, meaning that people that are on the government assistance for more than 2 weeks, 2 consecutive weeks or more. U.S. added 49,000 jobs in January, even though it's projected to be 100,000 jobs. Unemployment rate fell to 6.3%, but we still have 10 million jobs that we have not recovered from the beginning of the pandemic. The German economy, remember that I just mentioned it was the largest in Europe at 4.3 trillion, even though they're expected, they say, to contract in the first part of 2021 in the first quarter. They're still expected to grow for the entire year at 3%. In corporate news, the best performer so far in the S&P 500 is a US-based company called Waters Corp. They're the biggest gainer so far at 17.74% in 2001 after reporting a 10% increase in their revenue. Expedia Group surged 6.94% as well, now that they're saying that since the restrictions are going away, we're having the vaccinations there, a lot more people are going to be booking items through Expedia. Amazon posted their quarterly net sales at $125.6 billion, up 44%. Alphabet at an all-time high, they reported revenue increase of 23% in the last quarter as well. The net income for Amazon was $7.2 billion, which was nearly double what they had last year. Nothing going on here, just close the small businesses. Let's keep the big guys open because they're the ones who need all the money. Spotify reported wider than expected losses for the prior quarter. Revenue came in at $2.17 billion, above the expected $2.15. But the good news is that they had the premium subscribers surge at about 24% as well. So they didn't kill it when it came to money, but they're still doing quite well. I don't know about you guys, if you guys want to comment on this, but I think Spotify should start a YouTube competitor. You know, they have Joe Rogan and, for example, Bill Simmons, which are 2 of the largest podcasts in the world. And I think they could really give YouTube quite a bit of run for their money. In technology, Jared Isaacman, a billionaire entrepreneur of a payments processing company called Shift4, is funding a multi-million-dollar trip to space aboard the SpaceX Crew Dragon. It's going to be the first ever orbital flight crewed entirely by non-astronauts. Denmark is approving a plan to build the world's first energy island in the North Sea. It's going to be connected to a lot of renewable energy like wind power, for example. It's going to store energy as well for about 3 million households in Europe. They want to increase the capacity of renewable power by 25 from here to 2050. South Korean government, they're seeking to be carbon neutral by 2050 in a $43 billion deal. They're going to make the largest wind power ever, the largest offshore wind power ever. In investment news, Ford and Google announcing a 6-year strategic effort where Ford is going to put all their infotainment systems and not all their trucks, right? Because they don't make cars anymore. But they're going to put Android now in all their entertainment systems. So if you guys like Apple, sorry. Jeff Bezos is going to step down as the CEO last year. I don't know if you guys remember, but about a year and a half ago, we had a record number of CEOs actually step down. And I think it's a little bit unusual that he's just now all of a sudden deciding to step down to focus on his projects. So the question I have about Jeff Bezos stepping down is, what does he know that we don't know, that we need to know? Other than that, he's been the CEO since 1995, grew the bookseller to a 1.7 trillion global retail and logistics giant. Remember, they just started off selling books online. Parler CEO John Matz was terminated by the board. Supposedly, there's a lot of rumors that the alternative to Twitter, where a lot of conservatives and far-right, people and also stars and things resorted to after Twitter and other social media companies started to ban and censor a lot of people. They're stating that they might go live again on Monday, even though the CEO was fired. Semiconductor shortage is slamming the automotive industry. Ford is actually shutting down its production, which it says can affect 20% of its production, and also about $1 billion to $2.5 billion hit when it comes to the money. Other car companies as well are being affected. Volkswagen, Toyota, Fiat, Chrysler. It's due to a semiconductor shortage. And so remember, everything's electronic now. It's like a huge computer in your car. So they need those semiconductors to be able to put in the cars to manage everything. So if they don't have the semiconductors, essentially they can't make the cars. Other than that, Kuaishou, which is backed by Tencent, it's one of the largest social media firms in China. They went for an IPO, which is the first IPO since the pandemic, and also the largest in Saudi Arabia. Aramco went public. They have over 300 million daily active users, and they went up 161% as soon as they went live. International events. China is authorizing the Coast Guard to fire on foreign vessels and destroy anything that it seems to be illegal structures in its waters. Remember that there's still quite a bit of speculation and also going back and forth about what those waters actually are in the South China Sea. China won't likely attempt overt military action, but they are going to be a lot more aggressive. And the commander of U.S. Strategic Command, which is a department that manages the missile defense system in the United States, is stating that a nuclear war with China and Russia is a lot closer than it seems, because if anything happens where Russia and China could lose their power, possibly, they could potentially launch those missiles to be able to go ahead and keep their power. And unusual facts this week: the Hunt brothers in 1979 and 78 cornered the silver market, and they bought 1/3 of the silver market, and silver exploded to the record high of $49.45 per troy ounce. Within a year, it skyrocketed to 713%. Then it collapsed, known as Silver Thursday. The COMEX then passed a rule saying Silver Rule 7, which allowed people to not borrow as much money on margin to be able to not happen again, where people can't corner the market like that. A mysterious 7-foot-tall face on the cliffside of the island in the Canadian Pacific Rim National Park has been rediscovered after one of the local people in the area was searching for it for 2 years. The face is similar to wooden carvings in the area. And a retreat by an Alaskan glacier in the Barry Arm Fjord has left a huge landmass, and very steep landmass, that could go at any second. And if it does, it could send over, I have the numbers here, hundreds of feet tall tsunami potentially if all that falls. But there's no expectation of when that might happen. And last but not least, supposedly American and French explorers had discovered that they made a monumental discovery, which is a partially translucent crystal-like pyramid in the Caribbean Sea, which was first discovered in the 1960s. This potentially could be Atlantis. So news for this week, guys. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you next week.